Alright, today I'm going to try to use Millmage for the first time. Let's see how this works. As you can see, I'm running a Arch-based distro called CashiOS. So this is pretty much Arch Linux. And we're going to run Millmage on it to see how well it runs on Linux. When we start up Millmage, you can see we are presented with our material setup. So I'm just going to enter the dimensions of my material. I'm just going to draw out a couple of rectangles. I'm going to make this about 6 3/4 inches tall. This is going to be for the inside cavity of a tray. I want the height to be 6 3/4 inches, so I'll just eyeball the rest of it. I'm going to do an offset and just stretch it out to give us a nice border. Inside of Millmage, we need to create a new operator. We're going to use a pocket. I gotta assign a tool. I don't have any tools in here yet, any bits. So the first thing I need to do is create a category. New category. I'm just going to call it InMill. I hit enter, and inside of that category we're going to add a new bit. The dimensions of this bit is going to be for the hog, so it's a 1/4 inch bit, so I'm just going to put 0.25 in and hit inches, and it'll automatically convert that to metric, which is fine. It's a 2 flute bit, and we got to set our feed rate on this bit. So to get the suggested feed rate, here's the IDC Woodcraft website where you can get the beast and the hog in a combo kit. But if we scroll down here, you can see we have a specs and settings section. Specs and settings is going to be for the hog. You see the feed rate. The suggested feed rate is 80 inches per minute. Now I'm also running LightBurn on Linux. Millmage is running on Linux, so LightBurn after 2.0 will run on Linux as well, using the same method. But in LightBurn, you can go to the units and grids, set the measurements for inches per minute. Then when we go back into our units menu, using the units and grids tab, we can do millimeters per second. Hit OK, and that's our little calculator there. You see it's 33.9. You open that up, you see it's actually 33.87. And gSender, we can move that up and down a little bit on the fly, so I'm just gonna put in 34, round that up, and there's our first bid. We got to set the final depth. I'm using 10 millimeters here, probably might end up changing that, and then we have to set our depth per pass. The beast says it can do 3/4 inches, but I never run it that hard, so I'm just going to leave it at 4 millimeters. Now we need to set the speed. I don't have a spindle, I use a router, so it really don't matter what I put in here. I type in 10,000, that's just an arbitrary number. And we can do a preview and see that pocket might not be quite deep enough. So I'll just go in and make that just a little bit deeper. The material was 19 millimeters thick, so I'll just move this on up to 12 millimeters on this pocket, maybe 14. See what that looks like in a minute. Then we got to do a profile, so I'll add a new operator for have a profile. This one, we want to do the full depth, which is 19 millimeters, and I'll do probably 5 millimeter, 6 millimeters. Let's set that to 5. I'll do that 5 millimeters per pass. I want to make sure I cut on the outside of that line. And then I'll set my RPM speed. Again, 10,000 doesn't really matter. Hit OK. Oh yeah, I want to add some tabs. I'll enable the tabs, and I want to do partial height. I'll probably make it about 7 millimeters tall on the tabs. That'll probably be plenty to hold it. Then I need to add the tabs to the project. See, we have a few settings here, but I'm just going to flip this button and have a maximum of 8 tabs, 2 tabs per side. Hit apply, and then let's look at that. Preview this job. So after I made my offset, this project's going to end up being 8.6 inches tall and 11.997 inches wide. So about almost 8 3/4 by 12. So this will make a good little sandwich board. Now I'm going to set this down in the bottom corner of the material. We're going to Control D and duplicate this a few times. Control D once again. Then I'll select all 3 of these, and I'll Control D and scoot them over to the side. This will give us 6 sandwich boards. And as you can see, only one of them is being cut out. So only one of them is being cut out when we do our preview. So I'll have to go in here and I'll select my pocket path, and I'll select all of these vectors on the inside of my project, and I'll assign to the shape. I'll assign the shapes to that toolpath. I'll do the same thing with the profile. I'll select all of my profiles, hold Shift key, selecting, click on the profile, and assign shapes. And as you can see, now all my sandwich boards are being cut out. So it's pretty much that simple to create a sandwich board or a catch-all tray or anything like that in Millmage. I will be laser engraving the inside of these trays once they're done cutting out on the CNC. I don't have a laser on my CNC, so this will be a different machine. What I'm going to do is just export these to an SVG, give it a name, hit save. And then I'll bring it into LightBurn here. You see my CNC is a lot bigger than my laser. This is set up for my CO2 laser here, so CNC is a lot bigger than the CO2 laser. I'm going to bring in this little flag right here, this Lyman flag. When you're in LightBurn, you got to hold Control to select your vectors that's being filled. I'm just going to put those on I'm just going to put the tray vectors on a different layer. I'll size this flag up to fit the tray. Center it up, then I'll hold my Shift key and drag it up just a little bit. That'll give me a little room at the bottom to put a name or something down here at the bottom. I'll be doing these one at a time, so I don't need the rest of these vectors. I'm wondering right here if I couldn't have made a jig out of the cutoffs in Millmage. Look at our preview. If I had to plan that out, space that out a little bit better, I probably could have made a jig out of the cutoffs and at least done 2 at a time, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do them 1 at a time. They'll run pretty fast. I'm going to move this to the edge of the honeycomb bed on my CO2 laser. I'll find the center of the material, and then I'll put this on current position. It comes up to absolute coordinates. I'll move that to current position, and I'll select the center origin. So when I find the center of my material, I can set the laser to that point, and that's how I will line up that graphic right there. And that'll be pretty much the end of it. So the point of this video is to show that Millmage and LightBurn both will work on Linux. I know LightBurn is not supposed to work on Linux after the 1.7 family is over, but through this method it will work on Linux using bottles, which is a wine-based application. So at least it'll work anyway. That's the whole point of it. Just testing out Millmage for the first time for simple vectors and stuff like this. I think it'll be pretty good. They'll be adding features pretty quick from what I hear. Maybe we'll get some 3D reliefability pretty soon, but we'll have to wait and see about that. So here's Millmage working on Linux. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good day.